I bitten off more than I can chew this month? Some may say yes. I say probably. This month's Bon Appétit Magazine arrived for February, and upon looking through it, my favorite recipe that they had was the Kung Pao Brussels Sprouts. My favorite vegetable, or at least like top 5 for sure, is Brussels sprouts. However, this is much more of a side and not really an entire meal of food. That led me to decide that I needed to pick something else to go with these Brussels sprouts. I then decided that for the main portion of the meal, I would make spiced lamb hand pies, and they sound delicious. Part of this recipe is also making the dough for the hand pies. So they have a recipe here for all butter pie dough. Somehow this month I have now looped myself into making 3 recipes instead of just 1. Let's get to work on this. So what I'm going to do at this point is just make the filling for the spiced lamb hand pies, because apparently you can make the filling 2 days ahead of time if you want to. I'm making it the same day, but it's only 1:30 in the afternoon right now, so substantially earlier in the day before dinner time. Telephone. Hello? They hung up on me. Back to work. Okay. So the recipe actually calls for white wine vinegar, which I don't have, but I do have red wine vinegar. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the red wine vinegar. I feel like the difference can't possibly be so major. It kind of smells like balsamic. What's going to be boiling in the vinegar are black currants. Why? Toss these in. Just trying to. So it just says to bring the vinegar to a boil in a small saucepan, add currants, and set aside. So does this mean like, all right, I've added them. It didn't say like leave currants in vinegar for an amount of time. It just says to set aside right away. There's a bunch of stuff that requires some prep work that I'm just going to try and deal with now. Chopped! This time I know how to deal with this because of last time squashing it worked so well. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of olive oil are going into this saucepan. This is not a saucepan, is it? Large skillet. I'm not going to lie, this episode is going to feature a lot of scissor kicks. So, onions in the pan, and they are supposed to get brown and delicious. One thing I do like about cooking is following instructions. I don't think I could ever really cook without a recipe because I like following exact directions to like the exact measurements. So I thought that in this episode I would kind of talk about what I think the reasons are for my disinterest and general unenjoyment in cooking. And I think it really just stems back to how I was raised. Nobody in our house really loved cooking. Nobody was really interested in doing it. It was kind of just a chore that we had to do in order to survive, but neither of my parents were passionate about it in any way. And I always kind of really admired that about my mom, that she wasn't like the super homemaker type. And definitely what did influence my personal passions is that every single Saturday we went to have dinner in restaurants. And I can only assume that my parents had been doing this before we came along as well. And like normally we would go to restaurants like Red Lobster, the Olive Garden, Swiss Chalet, St. Hubert, except once my brother ate glass at St. Hubert and then we stopped going there. But sometimes we went to more special places on special occasions in downtown Toronto, like the King Edward Hotel or Papillon. So that kind of stuff really, I think, really created who I am today and kind of created my love and appreciation for good food and eating and just loving everything delicious. But then also kind of explains why cooking isn't a big deal for me. Alright, so these onions are looking pretty browned, I'd say. So now is when we add in the garlic. Okay, so now we are putting in tomato paste. So 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. I think I'm going to get everything in before I put this back on the heat because I'm just nervous about the brownness of the onions already. If my math is wrong, this will be a hilarious disaster. Huh. That may have been too much cumin. We'll find out. This is definitely starting to smell like real food in a way that, like, I shouldn't be cooking it. So it calls for cardamom. We actually do not have any and couldn't find any, but I read on the internet that if you combine cinnamon and nutmeg, it's an okay substitute. So that's what we're going to do. So to recap those spices just then, we threw in the tomato paste and we also added cumin, ginger, cardamom, except we didn't have that, so we made a mixture of cinnamon and nutmeg, and turmeric. Now we are going to cook until fragrant. Alright, scared again, so what's the next step? Okay, so now is the part where we add the lamb. The recipe calls for ½ pound, and I feel like this is a bit more than ½ pound. So I think I'm gonna try to use maybe like 3/4 of it, or 2/3. Am I supposed to be touching this with my hands? Okay. Back on the heat. Let's do it. Smells pretty delicious though, I have to say. This is probably like a far more advanced level of cooking that I would normally go to. So I think this is looking pretty browned, I'd say, and it doesn't look like there's any danger happening. So I'm just gonna review what's next. It almost smells kind of like Indian food because of all the like a lamb curry almost with all the spices and stuff. Mmm. No. How is this different from tomato paste? Same thing. Okay, so it says to season it with salt and pepper. Quiet, you. Looking pretty good. Ah. This seems to be making a lot of filling. This is when I'm going to lose a finger probably. Those are going in, and I'm just gonna, like, I guess, try not to get too much liquid in there. There isn't very much left anyway, so I am not overly concerned. So now I'm supposed to just let this cool. So there you have it. This is the filling, and I have to say it actually looks pretty good. And I will be back later to continue this madness. Hello! So now it is about 5:30. It's darker. So now I'm ready to pretty much get this whole shebang going. What you missed is about an hour ago I got the Brussels sprouts started. So I cleaned them by cutting off the stems and cutting them in half, and then I've been soaking them in water for about an hour. So again, this is just going to be a side next to our pies. It says I'm supposed to toss the Brussels sprouts and oil on a rimmed baking sheet, but it doesn't say if I'm supposed to like toss them in the oil beforehand or just like put the oil. This is confusing. This is not clear. I'm just going to put the Brussels sprouts on the pan. So this is olive oil, right? Oh, no, it's supposed to be vegetable oil. I don't think we have vegetable oil, so I'm just going to do olive oil and assume that it'll hopefully be fine. Okay, so these just have to go into the oven now, and I'm just waiting for the oven to heat up. So once it is done heating, in they will go. So now, once again, we wait. Who's been talking in my phone? Oh, we're laughing about Gurn again. Come on, oven! Daha! The oven is heated. So this is going into the oven. Okay. So now we are going to move ahead to dealing with this pie situation. There's like a sizzling sound coming from within. Like a concerning sizzling sound. Okay, like it's getting louder. There's like smoke coming out. Anyways, here's the dough that I made earlier this morning. This is the part of the video that magically flashbacks to what happened this morning. So, just to go over what I just did here, I made some freaking dough. I have never made dough for anything ever in my life, but this looks like dough. And all it was flour, salt, butter, apple cider vinegar, and some water. And it was like, yo, I'm dough. And doughed. Okay, so you saw that I made this, which in itself is kind of a feat, and it's been in the fridge all day, cooling and becoming dough. I'm gonna make 4 of these little hand pies. Problem number 1 is I don't think we have a rolling pin. What I do see is this bottle of Talisker single malt Scotch whiskey, and that is what we're going to use. It's not the easiest. Can I just punch my problems? These are not going to be beautiful, let me say. That means toss the Brussels sprouts. Thanks, iPhone. Oh gosh. Back you go, friends. For another, I'm going to say probably 10 minutes. I feel like even, you know what, I'm going to do 9 minutes. Back to the task at hand. Okay, so now it's the scary part where I'm going to spoon the filling onto one side of the square. This, not a square, but whatever. It's gonna work. So here's the filling that you watched me make earlier today. It actually looks and smells quite delicious, but let's see how fast I can ruin it. Oh, I think I was supposed to have this transferred to the parchment before. Yeah, that makes sense, because then you're trying to move them and that makes it all weird and difficult. So I'm just going to set that there. So I'm painting the edge of, I hope this is right, but I'm painting the edge so that when I stick the other half on top, which was supposed to be just getting folded over, but like I said, that's not happening. Okay, so now when I stick the little hat part on top, oh geez, I'm scared. Crimp the edges, which sounds real fancy. There is some filling escaping, but I'm kind of not going to worry about it because whatever. Oh, great. Time to deal with those jerks again in the oven. Can't you see I'm busy? Stop. Okay. Okay, so like these are looking pretty charred-ish, but I saw a photo of these and they do kind of look like this in the photo, so I'm assuming that this is what we want. I need to cool down the oven. How do you cool down an oven? Like maybe I'll just leave it open for a sec. So now I have to like cut vents. Oh no. I don't know how to stop this. I'm going to close the oven and hope that was a good enough cool down to keep the smoke detector from going on. The picture in the recipe thing has like these beautiful little X's. I'm just going to go the stabby route. I'm brushing the entire pie with the egg. I feel like a lady who knows what she's doing. Hi!
Hello. It smells good in here.
Yeah, we'll see. This one seems especially small. So I'm going to mush it into a bigger shape because that's cooking. Not good. Why is it so different? Okay. They may not be beautiful, but I made them and they're hilariously shaped with love. The Kung Fu sleeves. Now I'm moving on to finishing the Brussels sprouts. Why? I have like pie all over me.